What's up, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we are taking a look at tight end Evan Engram for the New York Giants and talking about his 2020 fantasy outlook. Before we start, hit that subscribe button for us. Be subscribed for more videos like this one, and let's get right into it. Now, uh, knock if you heard this one before, but last year was a injury-riddled season for Evan Engram. However, of course, the reason why we continue to talk about him is because when he's healthy, it feels like we're doing the whole Jordan Reed thing all over again, but he is a top four tight end when healthy. And that's pretty much been the case for the entirety of his career. So last year he misses essentially half the season, misses one game with an MCL sprain, and then suffers a Liz Frank injury, which could linger into the season for 2020. Those injuries typically take about 12 months to recover, so obviously suffering that about halfway through the season, you'd expect there to still be some lingering effects of that overall heading into 2020. And this is an injury that has sidelined some players' careers. We do expect this to impact him at least as far as his efficiency in 2020. So there's a lot of worries with what Evan Engram is going to be able to do in 2020. We do still have to consider, though, just how important and impactful he has been for the Giants when he's playing, and we'll come up with a conclusion at the end. So last year, he finishes with 44 receptions and 467 receiving yards, 3 total touchdowns. That was good for 109.4 fantasy points, 18th at the position, but still, through week 9, he was 6th in points per game at 13.7. Clearly coming out and dominating week 1. Everyone that drafted him in the middle rounds last year felt they had a gold mine. Hopefully you sold him after the first couple of weeks before he started to devolve into the realm of being constantly injured. And as you can see, week 9, last game to play for the entire season. So finishes with multiple tight end 1 weeks, a couple tight end 2 weeks, and then one terrible game against Arizona, in which I think he was like the only tight end that played Arizona last year that wasn't able to put up a massive fantasy game. So that was a bit depressing as well as an Engram owner. But just very hard to project how this Liz Frank injury is going to impact him. If he was ever able to stay fully healthy, then he is a clear value buy in drafts right now. Being able to get him typically like 7th, 8th, 9th round for a guy that would likely go in the 2nd or 3rd round if he was able to prove that he was going to stay healthy for a full season. But at the same point, that risk is so massive, it's hard to really consider spending that pick on a tight end that will probably not be able to finish the entire year healthy. So last year he finished with a 22% target share, which was 6th best amongst tight ends, 25th percent red zone target share, which is 5th best, 80% route participation. So when he's out there being used primarily as a receiver, yards after the catch, 241, 11th best, and that's with only playing half the season. 8.5 targets per game, that is 2nd in the entire NFL for tight ends. 23.8% dominator rating and a 4.7 target quality rating. So obviously there's room for improvement in Daniel Jones' quarterbacking play as well. Obviously Eli Manning is gone, so that should help as well because some of those games with Evan Engram was with Eli Manning there. So it's really hard to recommend taking Evan Engram, even though the upside is massive. It's still hard because that injury history is just so ridiculously scary. If you ever are able to land Evan Engram in a year that he plays 16 games, then this is like far away from his floor. So right now, I think we're projecting him to finish with about 13 games played, and that would give him 66 receptions, 754 receiving yards, and 5 total touchdowns. But even that might be a bit lofty. So if you take Evan Engram, you have to anticipate that he's probably not going to finish the whole season. So you want to still take another shot at an upside tight end later on. Grab a guy like T.J. Hawkinson, Mike Gesicki, or even a bit later, you can grab a guy like Ian Thomas or Blake Jarwin, someone that's going to at least be able to hold it down for you. And obviously, you can play the waiver wire as well, stream tight ends. But if you take Evan Engram, just make sure you're getting him at a value. I do endorse taking him in the 8th round and beyond because that upside is just so juicy. Getting a tight end that could finish as a potential top 3 tight end in the 8th round is absolutely league winning. And guys similar to like what Mark Andrews did for people last year. That is definitely in the range of outcomes for Evan Engram, and because you can get him at such a deep discount this year, it's still something you have to consider. But right now, at least in terms of the way that the strategy is playing out for us, I'm probably going to be leaning towards passing on tight ends until the double digits. It, I'd rather just take shots at high upside wide receivers at this point because we're going to be targeting more running backs earlier. So grabbing other wide receivers that are going around. I mean, taking Marvin Jones over Evan Engram just seems like the smart move, especially in redraft leagues. And you know, with guys like Evan Engram, especially if he comes out a little bit slow, still recovering from that Liz Frank injury, he could definitely become a really cheap trade target later on. We know he's talented. We know he's not a bust like OJ Howard, which OJ Howard might not even be a bust either. That might be an unfair claim, but we'll get in that in another video. It's just hard to place that much value on a Jordan Reed type character. That was a tight end that everyone every year got excited about because he gave you such great upside potential, and people would always talk themselves into taking him. And only 1 year was he able to actually put it together for a really good fantasy season. I think he even missed some games that year. So tight end is a really tough position to play, guys, and it is putting you in the position on the field where you're taking a lot of hits. And clearly Evan Engram is talented, but he has not been able to show that he has the capacity to actually hold up to the hits of an entire NFL season. So if you're asking me right now if you should draft Evan Engram, I'm probably going to avoid him unless I get him for an absolute steal, or the draft that I'm in is just going haywire at running back and wide receiver, and I can steal him in the ninth round. Then it's worth taking a shot on him, but don't spend any more than like an eighth or a ninth round pick because most likely it's not going to return value for you. But anyway, that is our take on Evan Engram. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below, and hit that subscribe button for more videos like this one. We'll see you guys in the next video.